It's great to see everybody here on a very exciting occasion, and so happy to have all of you here that love and care about Lipscomb. We were going to have a time when our new coach could meet with the press and talk with them, and we'll do that just as soon as we kind of have a few comments. Let him visit with them, maybe in the back for a while, but then hopefully if you have a chance to stay around and can visit with him, that would be wonderful. So feel free to stay here and enjoy each other's company, and then we'll be stay here as long as we need to. So I'm Philip Hutchison. I'm the Director of Athletics at Lipscomb University, and we're here to celebrate the announcement of a new men's basketball coach. And before I do that, I think it's appropriate for me to say thank you to a few people during this process. It was exactly 40 days when we made the announcement, and it wasn't quite 40 days in the wilderness, but it did seem like a long time. And so I'm glad for everybody's patience, prayers. Every time somebody said, "I'm praying for you," I said, "Well, you just pray God's will be done." And that's I hope that's what everybody was doing. I want to say thank you to Dr. Lowry. There he is right there. He's been supportive all the way along among the thousands of other things he has to do on a daily basis. He stayed engaged with the process the whole way, and I really appreciate his help and support in that effort. Early on, we had a group that got together and spent several hours defining what we were looking for in a coach. We had administrators, coaches, staff, faculty, people from across the campus get together to talk about what are we looking for in a coach, and we defined that carefully. And then out of that, we had me and Coach Greg Brown, our women's basketball coach, and Scott McDowell, who's Vice President for Student Life here, meet with each of the finalists individually and interview them extensively to talk to see that if there was a fit in what we were looking for. And the only other comment I would make is I've been impressed, as I was when we were looking for other coaches in times past. I have been so impressed by both the quality and the quantity of the candidates that are interested in the Lipscomb job. And I think that's really just a testimony to what they feel the potential and the opportunity is at Lipscomb, and the fact that Lipscomb is hopefully a very special place to be. Out of that search, when we had our meeting, there was one guy whose name rose to the top, and he contacted me very early on about the job and said he was interested. And I kind of thought to myself, well, I don't know, because I was thinking about his resume a little bit, and I thought this would be interesting. But you know what? What we care about here is excellence, and what we care about are people who are connected and committed to what the mission of Lipscomb is about. And it came through a couple of conversations I had with other people who didn't even know he was really looking at the job, who said, "Have you ever thought about Casey Alexander?" And I kind of just said, "Well, what do you think?" And these are people who are close to Lipscomb, and they know him from being on the ball field with them, or being in the community with them, or seeing him out. And every one of them, to a person, said he is a wonderful person with a wonderful family. And I thought, well, I better talk to this guy. And so I called him and I said, "Casey," I said, the very first question, I said, "Casey, you're a Belmont guy who played at Belmont, you coached at Belmont. You moved on to our conference." I said, "What is it about Lipscomb? Why are you interested in the job?" And he said, "I want to be at a place that still values the Christian mission that Lipscomb values, that values character, and that also wants to be competitive. And there are very few places that do all of those things, and that's a place I want to help build a program." And I thought, well, that's a pretty good answer. And so we met, and when Scott, Greg, and I met with the other candidates, we thought it was clear that he was the right guy for the right time. And so I want y'all to meet him in a minute. But before we do that, Scott, I'm going to let you come up, and I'll say one or two other words. But I'm going to let Scott McDowell just talk for a minute, because Scott's in charge of student life here. And as Scott would point out to you, I don't want to steal your thunder if you're going to say it, but 90% of a student's life is outside of the classroom. And so student life is really important here, and our teams being integral and integrated part of our campus is important. And Scott understands that, and so I thought it was good that he was a part of the process all the way through. And Scott, maybe if you say a word or two, and then I'll come back up and introduce the guest of honor.
Well, I think probably, I don't know if it was the highlight or the low light, but Casey managed to offend both Philip and me in the same sentence. By looking across, he said, "Kids are a little different than when we played, Philip," and he pointed to the two of them, "or even when you played." So I was insulted because he made me so much older. Philip was insulted that I would even be grouped in the same stratosphere as a player, an old intramural hack like me. But it was pretty clear real soon that Casey was a man of character. And we grilled him pretty hard about the mission and about the fit that he would have here, about his faith walk, and about the kind of young men that he would try to produce. And he passed with flying colors. I was very impressed when I asked him about how you inspire the right kind of behavior, and he said it's not with an iron fist. It's about setting the expectations and challenging the young men to meet them. But I was also impressed whenever he talked about his own faith journey, how it started out there at Bellevue with Marlon Connolly, and the heritage that he's embraced and how his faith finally became his own in his college years. And I walked away from that interview, in fact, said to Philip, we could stop right now. We didn't. But after we listened to more people, it just became very obvious that we're going to have a guy that's going to know how to win on the floor, but it's going to do a lot to teach these young men how to win in life. And that's why we're excited about the new coach we've got in Philip.
Okay, well, you didn't come to hear me, and I want to assure you that really we knew there would be a time for the media to speak, and in today's social media world, it's just really hard to keep a secret, and these guys are really good at finding out, and so, that's just the way it works today. But we'll have many more events on campus where we formally kind of meet Casey and meet his family and that kind of thing, and some things when students get back and all of that. But really we felt like if the media was going to meet, there's some of you that really care about the program and care about the team, and a lot of our staff and all that wanted to meet him too. And so I'm glad for every one of you as friends of the program to be here. And like I said, after Casey gets through with his comments, he can talk with the media, and then feel free to visit as long as you want. The only other thing I want to make sure and point out is all of us who have spouses, my wife has absolutely been the MVP of the Hutchison household for the past 6 months while athletics has gone on, so I don't know where Vera is, but thank you for what you've done. And I know Casey feels the same way about Sonny, and we're so glad to have you, Sonny, and to have Allie and Reed and Mason here as a part of our team too. And so enough about that. The man of the hour, Casey Alexander.
Thanks. I can't tell you how good it feels to be home. And to you, that probably sounds like being in Middle Tennessee, but it's not. How great it feels to be home at Lipscomb. That's the way that I'm feel and the way that I'm approaching this mission. And I can't tell you the number of people already that have sent meaningful notes, texts, tweets, emails, or just word of mouth that let me clearly know I'm standing right where I need to be. And so thank you for those that I've heard from already and for putting a stamp on this significant occasion for me. I do want to, even though they've been mentioned already, introduce, and I'm not going to let them get away with just looking at them, but I want Sonny to stand up and Reed and Mason and Allie to stand up, because what you'll learn quickly is that these four guys right here are the best part of this deal for you. This is this group has loved their dad well, or husband. Totally supportive, totally on board, and totally ready to go. So nobody deserves more credit than that. My dad's here, my mother's here, my in-laws are here. I have my brothers here, their families, other family that are here, and want to make sure that you guys know how much I appreciate you being part of this too. Before I go any farther, I think it's appropriate that I thank the men who made it happen the most. Dr. Lowry, who I met yesterday for the first time and walked away from that meeting completely sold on the vision of this institution and how I and our team can contribute to that, and what a role that we have. It's an awesome responsibility, but an awesome privilege to lock arms and join hands with the people all across this campus and Philip Hutchison, who I guess is the one who ultimately decided that this opportunity needed to occur. So to you guys, I'm so grateful. Philip, I think back to the time when, probably in the mid-'80s, where you were kind of a gangly post player running the floor with elbow pads and knee pads, and I don't think anybody really probably has ever accused you of being quick, and so this search, tells me that that you're even stronger in those ways than you were back then. So it may not have. I'd say we were close to the wilderness. It was during this time. It was tough, but I'm so grateful, and I'm so excited about working for you and being a part of your team and all that goes along with that. There are other coaches here. Greg Brown, who was part of the interview process. Scott McDowell, who's not a coach, but who were sold that I was the right guy at the right time. I value you guys and your help and input during this process. There are other coaches who I've heard from all across the board, but it's clear, I see Andy Lane there, I've just heard from all kinds of people, and I want to reiterate what Philip's already said. That's the community that I'm signed up for. That's the reason why I want to be here. It's because of people like that help me grow, that I can integrate a family into, and a place that's going to love them well, and I just could not be more excited about that. I want to say real quickly, because I see him standing back there in the back, but outside of those who share the DNA that I've already mentioned, there's not one person anywhere that's made me more the man I am today than the guy sitting right back there, Rick Bird. And so, Coach, I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate every step along the way that's helped me stand up here at this podium. And I tell you, when I first started talking to him about this job, you can imagine it was probably like a lot of you. There was some raised eyebrows and so forth, but it took one conversation, I think, literally, for him to almost forget about where it was and who it was, because because all he cares about is what's best for the people that he interacts with, and that's a legacy that will last for a long time for a lot of people. So, I know that even though today is about me, I guess, it's much bigger than that, and there are a group of former players. There are all kinds of people who have made this program what it is, but former players and former staff specifically that have put in countless number of hours to make it a special place. And even though only a few are here, I saw Richard Taylor walking in, I'm sure there's some others, but I want them to know right now that this is I'm just a steward of this ship, and those are the guys that deserve all the credit for making this a job that I and many others wanted, and I want them to know that they're welcome here, expected here, wanted here, and I really look forward to the journey that's in front of us of kind of bringing the recent past and the more the older past together and making this exactly what it needs to be. The whole reason for all of this, for the people that have already been mentioned, for all of the great things and the great people that walk these grounds and make Lipscomb what it is, the whole reason to me, as it relates to men's basketball, is for guys like JJ and Keon and Malcolm, who are sitting back there on that back row. Our charge, as it relates to those guys, is to give them the best experience that Lipscomb can offer. And although we all wear a lot of hats, I told those guys I just met with them, talked to them last night briefly on the phone and met with them just prior to this. I told those guys I wanted it to be clear that they knew that that what I do every day and what the people that surround them are going to do every day is give them the best chance to be successful and enjoy their time here. And if we've done that, I think we've done a heck of a job. Lastly, I'll just say that, you know, the God we serve has plans that are incredibly and infinitely different than our own. And no matter how hard I try to make it happen the way I want to make it happen, thankfully there's a God that sets a path, that creates opportunities like this, and I am so grateful to be here right now as your basketball coach because of him. Thanks.
I know you've just had a taste of Coach Alexander, and I know a lot of you would like to hear more, but I hope you can see, even in the brief time you're listening to him, the kind of heart he has, the kind of man he is. The basketball part was in question from the get-go, but it was all the rest of it that really is what matters the most, and why we're so excited to have him here. So why don't we do this, because this is supposed to be somewhat informal, and we'll have some other bigger, more exciting, I guess, involved occasions. But right now, we, as we said, part of the reason for being here was for Casey to meet with the press, and so we're going to give him some time to talk with them for a little while. Certainly you can meet Sonny and the family and the rest of his family that's here while he's visiting with them. We can all enjoy one another's company for a while. Stay if you can, and then once he's done, you can meet Coach Alexander as well and shake his hand and wish him well. I just would encourage every one of us to, as he said, to lock arms with one another. This is a great opportunity for us to support the not only the basketball team but the university in a way that frankly is very hard to replicate in other ways. I want to thank all of our coaches and staff that I see around here, especially too. They've been very patient as I've been off and talking and visiting and interviewing and all of that. And we could not have a better group of people working in Lipscomb Athletics than what we have right now. And if I could look all of you in the eye and find you, I would say that while I was looking at you, but know that I'm looking at each of you when I do that. And I want to say to the players, again, thank you so much for you guys, hanging in there and going through this process together. And I am really excited about the future here. So with that, we will be kind of formally adjourned. Feel free to visit. Casey will visit with the guys in the back, and I guess Debbie will kind of help him. And then stay as long as you like. Thank you so much for being here, and blessings to you all. We'll talk to Casey here in a minute. Thank you.